Yo, 2026 and the link is feeling cold. Stories of a super runner getting kinda old. Jalen under fire, say his vision's getting tight. Calling them uncoachable every single night. AJ in the tray, got me in my field. Mr. Hollywood is the brownest on the field. Man, he ain't calling plays, I be searching for the spark. Eagles flying solo, hunting shadows in the dark. Rabo and Rossini trying to launch a master plan. Ever since the photos got you sitting with the fans. Draft day approaching, how we sitting on this perch. Gotta fill some holes, so you know he's on the search. 10 toes down with the Eagles on the scene. Watching out for Cap, cause your boy is bleeding green. Searching through the trending topics, info moving slow. Pro fan talk, always keep you in the know. Pro fan talk. Hit the bell, that's law. Break it down from the film to the box score raw. Pro fan talk. Where the real ones bar. From the birds to the league, we gon' cover it all. Pro fan talk. Hit the bell, that's law. Break it down from the film to the box score raw. Pro fan talk. Where the real ones bar. From the birds to the league, we gon' cover it all. Pro fan talk.
What's going on, y'all? And just as I sit down and get ready to start, hold on 5 seconds. My alarm just went off. Hold up. My apologies. Got to take care of business. Got to take care of business. What's going on, y'all? What is going on? And we still on this AJ Brown stuff. Been very interesting since my last video about the rumors and the false accusations about the leaking of information. Some of the responses I got were very, very curious, but I should know better. And it just proves kind of another point that I talk about a lot in the social media streets. And that is nobody does their homework. Nobody vets the information. Whatever is the first that's posted or the juiciest, that's what they roll with. And maybe they'll figure it out later, maybe they won't. So when I posted what I posted over the weekend, and my post was, you guys know how I felt about AJ Brown. I didn't want to see AJ Brown go, but I was like, if he don't want to be here, deuces. Do what you got to do, because I understand that. And, you know, he didn't do himself any favors. We know all of that. But also, I will stand 10 toes down that he never told any lies. He was always... We always knew it was the passing game and some other things. And of course, there's always going to be some things behind the scenes that we don't see. That happens in every locker room, and nobody's exempt from that. But I'm not going to use that as ammunition to pile on him. He did a lot. He was very instrumental in helping us get a chip. And he don't want to stay here no more. Thank you for your contribution. I wish you the best. Facts over feelings, never personal, all about business. And the way people act now, especially with the impunity that social media gives you, everybody got something to say. Even when you out the door, they got something to say. Now, it is fair that if you criticize him for the interview with Maria Taylor, some of the stuff he said, you kind of looking at him like, yeah, you kind of brought this on yourself. That is fair. And the whole thing with this whole aftermath of the trade has been everybody's jumping on the fact that he was leaking information. And the last video I did was specifically on that subject. And I didn't think that he leaked information. And for somebody to say that he leaked, because when you say you leaked something, now you in a whole different category. Because now it sounds like you snitching, and because that's what some people say. And that puts you in a whole different category. And I was like, if you getting that from the same video that I watched, I went back and watched it a second time. Matter of fact, Mike Florio did a piece on it this morning. But then you come to find out that the original post that got all of the likes, that really started all of this nonsense to begin with, was a bot site, was a AI run Twitter account. But they found that out after how many thousands of likes and reposts and all of that type of stuff. They figured that out after. Nobody does their homework. Nobody vets the information. You have every right to be mad, disgusted, angry with, whatever adjective you want to use at AJ Brown. You have every right. And the one thing that I've said is AJ Brown has given us plenty of ammunition to criticize. Plenty. And having said that, I ain't got to lie on him, because he's already given me plenty of ammunition to talk about. And maybe that's just because I'm an OG. What's up, K-Sap? K-Sap, I ain't forgot you, brother. I ain't forgot you. Just had some family business to attend to yesterday. So, but I did not forget about you. But only OGs think like this. When I was growing up, my grandma, my mom, my wife even says this: I can do bad by myself, but you ain't got to make up stuff on me. I got enough of my own where you don't have to lie on me. And that's my feeling. This has nothing to do with whether you like what he did, how he acted when he was with the Eagles. None of that. This is specifically about the interview that I saw, like everybody else, and what came off of it. And to me, it seems like somebody made some shit up, and what they made up, everybody ran with it, and nobody did their homework. That's a problem. That's a problem. To me, that's like if you get in an argument with your spouse is mad because you didn't take out the trash, and then they accuse you of cheating. One ain't got nothing to do with the other. What are you talking about? Everybody's been in the situation similar. That is an extreme example. I acknowledge that and I understand, but it gets my point across. You're talking about one thing, and then somebody come out in left field, and because here's where the social media lemmings come in. Because you don't like that person, that is just some clickbait that you can use to co-sign your particular opinion, and that's a problem to me. You don't have to agree with me. Here's another OG saying: we can agree to disagree. We used to say that, but you could only get there if you had a conversation. You feel what I'm saying? We could only agree to disagree if you had the conversation. You like Jordan, they like Malone, or whatever. Because back in the day, we used to go about that every day because you didn't have the internet. So you had to have your facts. You had to do your research. You had to actually watch the games. Now you ain't got to do that. Now people will put out reports. They never even watched the game. They have no context whatsoever. And it's happening everywhere. Everywhere. It's happening in the NFL. It's happening in the MLB, NBA, WNBA. It's probably going to happen in World Cup. It's everybody wants to put out the information first. They don't give a damn if it's right. They don't know. They don't care if it's vetted. I got a thing now that I'm dealing with. I don't know who this person is. I'm not even going to look at my Twitter page. I'm not even going to shout them out because I don't want to give that person publicity because of like what's going on. And what it is for me, and I put this on the post about an hour ago. The one of the basic measures of respect is for somebody to get your name right. Either say it right, spell it right, whatever it is. I tell people all the time, Markus, Marcus with a K. That's how most people spell it in Germany, Marcus with a K. No, I'm not German, but I know, like, you feel what I'm saying? Most people automatically, people have made trophies for me and spell my name wrong because they just thought or they never thought to ask. That's just a basic measure of respect. If I don't say your name right, please check me. Let me know. Even when I'm in the chats and I'm looking at folks' names, if I don't say your name right, spell it out phonetically. That's a basic measure of respect. And now people using AI and they making these thumbnails and stuff like that. And now I'm seeing a bunch of these WNBA thumbnails, and I'm like, yo, that don't look nothing like Kelsey Mitchell. That don't look nothing like Asia Wilson. That don't look nothing like Alicia Gray. That damn sure ain't Brittany Sykes. All of us don't look alike, but just basic respect. And you can't, now it's okay if you assume, if you got 10,000 likes and y'all all assuming the same thing. So now the perspectives align. To hell if it's right or not. Don't nobody want to sniff it out and do some homework to just check the basic measure of success. Just check to make sure it's right. Somebody brought up, I saw a thing that I responded to. They were talking about Cheryl Swoops. When Cheryl Swoops got into all of that firestorm about what she said about Caitlin Clark 2 years ago or whatever it was, and I was like, and I was a fan of Cheryl Swoops, but to be in that situation with that type of history, and for you to say what you said when you could have taken 30 seconds to vet the information, would have solved a whole lot of problems. We can, I don't necessarily agree with your opinion, but don't lie. Don't just spit out stuff that ain't true. Don't just make stuff up. And I will tell anybody, y'all know, you've been rocking with me long enough. If I say something wrong or whatever the situation, I've had people in the chat check me as like, yo, coach, is this, is that? They put out an article. That's not what happened. I ain't got no problem saying I was wrong. None. Because I don't want to be right all the time. I don't know everything, and I don't want to claim like or pretend like I do. One of my favorite quotes, one of my favorite mottos: if you are the smartest person in the room, find a new room. But everybody want to be first. Everybody want the clickbait. The hate has become the narrative because nobody wants to check. Everybody just wants people to align with their perspective or opinion. Do I even have to say about the opinions again? Opinions are like assholes. Everybody got one. You don't need information to spout an opinion. So, it is what it is. But again, back to the AJ situation, it's like AJ done enough where you can criticize him fairly and harshly. You can get your digs in, he'll catch some strays, all of that kind of stuff of his own doing. Ain't got to lie on him though. He got enough. So it's interesting, man. It's like nobody cares. They just, because I had more people saying, you still supporting AJ Brown? I was like, where does support have anything to do with this? This ain't got nothing to do with support. All I said was, I agree that he catching what he catch. He catching the heat for the moves that he made. That's fair. He catching heat for the moves that he's made. That don't mean you got to lie on him. And I'll stand on that. You can still not like him. You can still be glad he gone. I ain't got no problem with that. So, Panda, I agree with you. Best wide receiver in Eagles history. I agree. It still doesn't negate the stuff that he did. It still doesn't fix the fact that he went about some things in the wrong way, in my opinion. And some of the stuff that he did during the season while we were going through the process, again, you can check my receipts all day. It didn't bother me none. These social media streets have let people, how they say it now, say the quiet part out loud, not checking to see if the quiet part was right. It sounds like a good quote. Say the quiet part out loud. Well, do you know if the quiet part is true or not? Let's get that together first. And the social media stuff. So who said that this morning? Who said was it on was it Chris Canty? Who said this? No, it was Josh Johnson, the comedian. You know, the brown skinned brother with the braids that talk kind of like the real slow drawl and telling the joke. Like his name, Josh Johnson. He said something very interesting. He said social media has allowed people to say things that they would never say face to face. And he's a young cat. I don't even think he might be in his 30s. I don't even think he's there yet. And he figured that out. Social media gives you the opportunity to say things online that you could never say face to face. I grew up in a time when I was with the Eagles, 93, 94, when I was with the Philadelphia Eagles, all of the beat reporters had to come in the locker room, and after practice, they would sit there with they mini tape recorders. They didn't have phones. They didn't have digital. With their mini tape recorders, and they would record the questions, everybody's questions and responses. And then they had to run back over to the Philadelphia Inquirer, type up and write out what they heard, type it out, get it edited before they put it in the paper for tomorrow's edition. So it wasn't instant tweet. You couldn't take a quote and turn it over in less than 15 seconds. You couldn't do that. So at the very least, you had to get it right. And you couldn't get it wrong because you were sitting there and you heard exactly what they said. And I believe even in the interview with Maria Taylor, a lot of the heat started coming on AJ Brown. And I've talked about this before, was that game against Carolina. Jalen had like 122 passes, 115 yards or whatever that. It was a horrible game in the air. We won like 15-13 or something goofy like that. It was a low scoring game. We barely won. We were at home. Carolina was not a good team, and we didn't look like a good team either. So when AJ said what he said, everybody got on him like, what you complaining for when you won the game? And I was like, okay, if you want to go into the next week thinking that performance was okay, you go ahead and do that. Because I agree with him. The passing game had to get better. Jalen Hurts wasn't playing well. There was a lot of things going on. So in that context, AJ Brown never told a lie. And it started from there. I can deal, Chris, I can deal with divas. I can deal with divas. I'm okay with that. That's part of the game. Deshaun Jackson was a diva. Terrell Owens was a diva. Antonio Brown, Steve Smith. You name the great ones. Jerry Rice. Don't get it twisted. You name any great receiver. Megatron. You just didn't hear about Megatron because he was in Detroit. But I'm sure Megatron has some ways about him that only a number one elite level receiver can have. Not should have, can have. Because everybody knows how you treat people on a football field is not equal. It never has been. And that is a falsehood that's been propped up by people, by this generation that wants to give everybody a trophy. That was one of the worst things for sports. When I was coming up, when I was running track as a kid and coming up and playing in baseball tournaments and stuff like that, you had first place, second place, third place, gold, silver, bronze. Everybody else got a ribbon. Fourth place got a ribbon. Fourth through eighth got a ribbon. Thank you for your participation. And as a kid, you went home and you threw that shit in the trash. You kept the medals. You threw the ribbons away. And if you did get a ribbon for winning first place, usually it was some big old oversized ornate. They let you know what the difference was. Then they wanted to give everybody a trophy just for participating. You mean I got to bust my ass and this dude over here gonna get the same thing that I did and all he did was tie his shoes? I've been out all summer long working out, doing. So now when they brought that attitude up, the people that put in the work are at the same level as the people that didn't. Problem. Big problem. And you see it everywhere now. You see it on social media. How come all of the stuff, one of the biggest niches on YouTube now is channels trying to show you how to go viral. Why do people want to go viral? Because they want that big hit. They want that one thing that takes them over the top right away. They don't want to put no work in. I've been grinding at this for going on 5 years now. I'm still trying to get to 10,000. And most people just want to do a video that's going to take them to over 100,000 so they can just start making money and all. It's the pro mentality all over again. What do you want to do when you grow up, Johnny? I want to be a professional baseball player. Well, if that doesn't work out, what are you going to do? I ain't got no problem with doing that. I ain't got no problem with telling Johnny, sure, you can do that. Are you willing to work for it? I used to tell my kids all the time when I used to do the youth Bible study in my church. Of course, you got them young kids, usually kids that look like me, and they would come in and they want to be cool for the girls, and all they want to do is shoot basketball and all that kind of stuff. And everybody thought that they was going to college and going to the NBA. And I would ask them this question. I was like, if I could give you a jumper like Kobe Bryant right now, would you want it? And of course, everybody says yes. And then I hit him with the second part. The only way you can get it is if you can put in the work like Kobe did, getting up at 5 a.m, shooting 1,000 jump shots before practice, then shooting 1,000 more after practice, then getting on the treadmill, then getting on the stair climber. And you got to do all of that in between practice. You still got to go to practice. Are you willing to put in the extra work? Don't nobody want to do that. Everybody just want to grab what's most convenient and try to ride the wave and get paid. We going to find out very shortly. We're going to find out in about 7-8 weeks whether or not we are a better team or not. Or are we just as good without A.J. Brown as we were with him? We're going to find out in about 7 to 8 weeks. I'm talking about when the season starts. You got to give everybody some time to figure it out and get accustomed to Sean Mannion's cadence, his voice, what we call in his scheme, his thought process. You got to get used to all of that. And I think we will, but we're going to find out probably about week 7, week 6, week 7. We're going to know for sure what we got. Then we'll know for sure, were we better without AJ? Was it AJ the whole time? What? I don't know. There's a little bit of everything in between. But it's amazing what happens when people get into a new environment. Now, AJ got everything that he wanted. He got out of Philly. He in a new place. He with his boy Vrabel. He got everything he wanted. Now, what happens to him if he doesn't produce like he produced here? He going to take some more heat. Rightfully so. Facts over feelings. What up, Padre? Yeah, but even okay, and Barrett Brooks is my boy, but from where? My biggest thing with this is they took that directly, and they took that directly from the interview. Because, and if I'm wrong, or if something happened before that interview, y'all let me know where it is. Put a link in the chat, something. I never heard anything about AJ Brown leaking anything. We knew that he talked too much. We knew the times when he was on the radio. We knew the Twitter and the tweets and all of that. We already knew all of that. That was not new. I ain't heard anything about leaks. When I watched that interview with Maria Taylor, I still didn't hear anything about leaks. Then all of a sudden, somebody over here says it, and then the talking heads, the loudest talking heads, run with it. And then it blew up. That's my issue. That's my issue. Talking to the media ain't a crime. and how I see it, AJ said a whole lot of shit after games in front of the media out loud. He ain't have to leak nothing to nobody. That's my point. AJ Brown has given us so much ammunition. But leak. We don't need a leak. We knew what it was. We knew what it was. The only thing that surprised me in all of this conversation was when I found out, and some people could say, you didn't know that? And when I found out when he asked for a trade after week 4. That surprised me. I hadn't heard that before. A lot of people said that they knew that. I must have missed that memo. But that's okay. So, you got to play the game. As a professional athlete, especially now more than any other time in history, because of social media, specifically because of social media, you have to play the game, and the game ain't fair. It's worse now for athletes that get involved with domestic disputes. It's worse now. It's worse now if you get caught cheating or something on your wife or something. It's worse now. It's worse now if you thought you got away with something in the game, looking at Jalen Carter, and they catch you on camera, 4K. It's worse now because there's nowhere to hide. But what it also does is it keeps everything up front and out, and it exposes folks. You can't tell me you didn't when I saw that you did. And then you take it to the next level. You look at the referees and you look at the teams and the ownership and stuff like that. You can't tell me that this is what you're trying to do as an organization when you let that go. I always use this example. New York Giants can't tell me what kind of standard or what kind of tone they're setting for their organization when you had somebody that was abusing their spouse. You knew about it and you gave him a new contract. And the only reason you had to take it away is because she put out a book. That's what I'm talking about. It at least keeps everything on an even level now. Because anybody can get exposed. Look what they did to John Gruden. Hell, look what they tried to do to Shador. So, at least to a degree, it's still not even, but at least to a degree, you can call some people on the carpet because everybody's got receipts. Why you think coaches don't want to talk no more? Why you think ownership, GMs, they talk less and less and less in front of the camera? Because anything you say can and will be used against you. Except now it's just not in the court of law. It's the court of public opinion. And it is what it is. I'm torn because he did allow Sicilian in 4 years, but it was still 4 years. A rookie who didn't get an extension. Listen, there are a lot of things, and this is. Do I got a fake card in here somewhere? This is where I'll pull out my. I used to be in the NFL locker room card. I played at the highest level card. This is when I pull out that card, and I will say that there are things that happen in the locker room that if you have never been in a pro locker room, you will never understand. That's the only way I can put it. There's some, just like a family, a brotherhood, a fraternity. I'm a alpha. There's some things I can tell you about A Phi A that's a little bit different from the Qs, but it's some things that the Qs could tell you that's a little bit different from the Kappas. This is things that the Kappas could tell you that's a little bit different from the Sigmas. Everybody got something a little different, but it's the same game, different stadium. There's some things that happen in the locker room that's supposed to stay in the locker room. So last year, when Brandon Graham got on that show at Chicky and Pete's and spilled some of the beans, what did he do? Immediately the next day, he came out, he tried to jump on and publicly apologize, but you can't put that toothpaste back in the tube, and he knew it. He knew he broke a rule. That's why he said what he said. I don't negate anything that BG said because BG comes across as one of the most honest people you can do. It didn't seem like he even wanted to talk about it in the first place. And I was like, bruh, stop. Please stop. Please stop. You're going too far. I didn't even know what he was talking about, and I could tell he was going too far. It's like, bruh, stop. You telling family business. This ain't everybody's business. And that was a wrap. And it made it worse the next day when he was on WIP apologizing for it. It was like, you shouldn't have said it in the first place. But you did, and it ran its course, and it did, whatever happened. So, but you understand when you in that, just like in your family, if you got kids, if you got, cousins or aunties or uncles or whoever lives with you, there's some things that go in that house that should stay in that house. And if it doesn't, you looking at folks like that wasn't none of their business. That wasn't for you to tell. On your job, somebody start talking about your business. Yo, I heard such and such, him and his girl broke up. Like, hold on, who told you this? And then you go to that person like, yo, why you telling my business? That wasn't none of their business. I told you in confidence. But what that does is it lets you know who you dealing with. Know your personnel. That's universal. Doesn't matter if you playing sports. Doesn't matter if you in the NFL, the WNBA, corporate office, Fortune 500, or working in the warehouse. Know your personnel. You can't tell everything to everybody. I thought the best thing AJ Brown could have done was just go to practice. Don't say nothing to nobody. Mike Vrabel is in one of the biggest scandals I've seen in the NFL with all of this stuff with Don and Rossini. And he figured out a way to make it go away. He only stepped in front of that mic when he absolutely had to. And now the only place you see him and hear him is on the football field. And slowly but surely, and especially with the days and with how everything else is now, all you got to do is stay quiet for a little bit of time, and then something bigger will come along and take all the attention away from you. That's exactly what he did. He stayed quiet. Now the heat went somewhere else. The heat went somewhere else. Then it was the boy, the receiver, supposedly that hit the cook, and then that got thrown out of court. That shifted all the attention. Then it was something else. Then it was something else. Then it was something else. And before long, it was like there's the news cycle is so fast. Just give it a minute. All you got to do is just sit quiet. That's all Vrabel did. He just sat quiet. And in this whole situation, he ain't caught no smoke. And here's the funny part. Even the way everything ended, at the end of the day, you got to look at Don and Rossini and say, well, you was right. You called it. you called it. You was right. You might not like how she got the information, but it was right. Insider trading. So, Coach, do I think everybody in Seattle locker room? Hell no. Everybody in any locker room don't get along. I've said that before, man. You don't get along with everybody in your family. What makes you think you're going to get along with everybody in the locker room that come from different backgrounds? And what you learn to do is you learn to respect the man sitting right next to you. I ain't got to like you, but when we step out on that field, everybody's facing the same direction. That's what sports do for you. I ain't got to like you, but I need this first down. So what I need you to do as my guard is I need you to pull around here and get the end man on the line of scrimmage. Give me the ball and I'll do the rest, but I need you to do your part. That's what sports teaches you to do. Sports teaches you to ignore the bullshit and handle your business. You could solve the other stuff later. But right now we have a task at hand. That's what sports does for you. The people in that locker room are your family. It don't say anything in your job description that you got to like everybody. People don't like their coaches. It's funny looking at all of this stuff going on with Caitlin Clark. It ain't never been a situation where everybody like all their coaches. You gonna dust up against your coaches every now and then. Everybody does that. Everybody does that. It ain't no big deal. It's what you do on the other side. Everybody's so quick to say Jalen Hurts sucks. Jalen Hurts, he need to play for a new contract. They got all of these narratives on Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts ain't said a damn thing. Jalen Hurts is what you want every person, every child that you coach to emulate. He don't say a damn thing. All he does is gets out on that field and handles his business. My results are going to do my talking. Jalen Hurts says some of the stale, corniest, Jalen Hurts is masterful at this point. He says nothing for so much that the slightest inclination that he's showing emotion or any type of rise or attitude or any type of emotion, everybody takes that and they run with it because he has starved the media of the hype for so long that anything extra that he gives, people eat it up. So he doesn't have to do it. When he says something or cracks a little joke or whatever, people take that and like, yeah, Jalen had a rare joke today. And normally Jalen is even keel. That's purposeful. You mean to tell me that Jalen Hurts as a leader of quarterback, when he get in that locker room, he ain't playing cards or playing dominoes or, busting jokes on the plane rides. We just don't see it on the outside, and we ain't supposed to. That's for them. That's for their family. That's for their family. That's the way it's supposed to. So I don't know. We can look at this stuff with Jalen and Mannion all we want to. It's going to play itself out one way or the other. And at the end of the day, because this is how I see it. This is exactly where you want people to be, in my opinion. This is exactly where you want people to be. Because there is a big contingency of people that just think Jalen Hurts can't do it. They just think he got lucky going into Super Bowls. If anybody else did it, they'd be all world, and they would have put him in the Hall of Fame already. So can you imagine if your boy Trevor Lawrence had been to 2 Super Bowls, won an MVP? They would already be trying to put him in the Hall. But because of Jalen Hurts, it's always something. But my point is that this is where everybody, you in the perfect position. If you don't like Jalen Hurts, you in the perfect position. Because now, if he doesn't show improve, that means Howie Roseman's going to be looking to find a new quarterback and get rid of him. That means we getting rid of Jalen Hurts. You should be happy. If you a Jalen Hurts fan, which I am, this ain't nothing but par for the course. It's you in another season, people doubting you. You got another offensive coordinator, but you seem to be the only quarterback in the history of the game to go through this many coordinators and still find a way to win. But if other people on the outside looking in want to doubt you, y'all go ahead. That's y'all business. I ain't got to agree with you. We can agree to disagree. But guess what? These wins on this field at the link are going to determine who was right and who was wrong. That's all you want. That's all I want. If he ain't the right dude, it's going to play itself out. Because guess what? How many quarterbacks have we seen in this league that don't win like Jalen, don't play like Jalen, but they get the long leash because they have the optics. They 6'4" and they played at Auburn or they played at Miami. They went to the big school. They almost did this. They threw for 1 million yards in college. They got all of the check boxes ticked. So their leash is long. You know what? I remember, just imagine what the conversation was when we got Jalen Hurts. First of all, he'll be a decent enough backup. Maybe use him as a what's the guy that they used to compare everybody to that was a running quarterback? What was the guy in New Orleans? The Saints guy. What was that quarterback? They would put him everywhere, and they put him at quarterback a couple times. I forget what his name is. Somebody put it in the chat, but they thought Jalen was going to be that type of dude. He might be a decent backup, but he is not going to be your franchise quarterback. He's just a placeholder. Jalen Hurts, Taysom Hill, Jalen Hurts is not the guy that's going to take this franchise to a championship. That part. Jalen Hurts is not the guy that's going to take this franchise to a championship. So he'll be a placeholder until we find somebody else we want to draft and start from square zero. But what did Cat Williams say? It's a real tiger in that cage. This ain't no fake run-of-the-mill tiger. That's a real tiger. And what's the real tiger waiting for? All they waiting for is one opportunity to show somebody they ain't bullshit. And guess what? There's a lot of people that wait for an opportunity to show what they can do. And when they get it, they can't perform. And what did they say about Jalen Hurts after he lost the Super Bowl and still should have been the MVP of the damn game? What did they say? They said how hard it is to go back to a Super Bowl after you lose the first one. Remember that? And what did he do 2 years later with a different coordinator? Man, y'all better stop playing with me. Y'all better stop playing with me and look at the results. That's the only thing that matters is the results. We talk about everybody else. We want to give everybody, he got the golden arm, he can do this, he can do that. All I want to know is look at the results. What did they do in the playoffs? What did they do? Well, he has Saquon Barkley. So what? You wish you had him. And when you did have him, you couldn't do nothing with him. When Buffalo did have a good running game, you couldn't do nothing with it. What's the excuse next? At the end of the day, there are no excuses. When you have your opportunity, you make the most of the opportunity that you have. And that's what we did. We went to the championship game and we won it. Matter of fact, we went twice. We got cheated out of the first one, but we managed to get the second one. The second one, you leave no doubt. There is no misunderstanding who the best team on that field was. There was no misunderstanding on who the best quarterback on that field was both times. What do you think all these teams are trying to do? They want a good running back, and you still can't win. Or you want a good wide receiver, and you still can't win. Or you want a good quarterback, but you still can't win because you ain't got a good running back. And then when you get a good running back, you still can't win because you ain't got a good wide receiver. And then when you get a good wide receiver, you still can't win because the other wide receiver ain't no good, so everybody doubles the good one. It's always something. It's always something. It's always something. I didn't hear one person say, not one person. If y'all heard it, please, again, remember, you can always get receipts. Save that link. I never heard one person say after New England lost the Super Bowl to the Seahawks, I never heard anybody tell Drake May how hard it is to make it back. I never heard that narrative one time. That's all we heard when Jalen lost. And Jalen was the best player on the field that game. Hate has become the narrative. Hate has become the narrative. Clickbait, clicks is the new currency. And everybody's trying to get paid. So they will say anything. They will try to transform and morph any comment, any clip, any quote, any link. They will try to do it. You can look at the thumbnails. You can tell, at least I can tell right now, which thumbnails are AI and which ones are real. Everybody's trying to grab your attention. It's a sale here. It's almost like you go to some of these vacation, when you go to Cancun Or you go to the Bahamas and they take you down to the market because everybody tells you to go to the market, and it's like a barrage of everybody in your face trying to sell you shit that you don't need. That's what it's like. That's what it's like. But our quarterback plays through the nonsense. Our quarterback does what needs to be done. If you don't get it done, you take the criticism. It's warranted. There are lessons in loss. You got to take the good with the bad. That's how the sausage is made. But all I tell people, it seems to be a common theme in all sports. Keep that same energy. Keep that same energy when it's your turn. Everybody get a turn. So when it comes back to you, when you cast in criticism and you got always something to say about why Jalen can't do this or that, or why the Eagles can't do this, keep that same energy, because it's eventually gonna come back to you. Everybody's gonna have a bad game. Everybody's gonna have a bad game, but keep that same energy, keep that same he sucks energy, and he's not a good quarterback energy when it's your quarterback that's screwing it up. That's all I'm saying. Keep it consistent, because it's going to end up coming back around. That's the law of averages. That's just how the way it works. I don't know. No, Panda, I know that. My point is that after Drake May got his ass blasted in one of the worst performances ever, I never heard anybody say that. I never heard nobody bring that reference up. Nobody. But we couldn't hear it enough ad nauseum when we lost in 22. That's my only point. Again, keep that same energy. Keep it consistent. Keep it consistent. Go back and look. Go back on YouTube and look at some of the reports and some of the commentary that was coming out the week of that Super Bowl with the Chiefs, the second one that we won. Look at some of the comments about that. How people were saying that we wasn't Colin Cowherd talking out of both sides of his mouth. We wasn't going to score a point. And some of the stuff that people said is just like, bruh, clearly, yes, we all know that you love Patrick Mahomes. I like Patrick Mahomes too. But clearly, y'all was not watching games. Couldn't have been. Couldn't have been. Because just from a schematic and strategic standpoint, if you were watching the films, you would know where the chinks in the armor were for the Chiefs. And anybody that watched film, like the Philadelphia Eagles, figured it out pretty soon. So, again, they executed their plan perfectly. Jalen Hurts is not a good quarterback. So all we got to do is stop Saquon Barkley, and we can win this game. Oh, okay. How'd that work out for you? And he still wasn't he close to 100 all-purpose yards? He only had like 48 or 43 rushing yards, but then he caught a couple passes. So, but my point is, you ain't stopped nobody. We was ready for the onslaught. We was ready for every eventuality, and the game showed it. Yeah, but the defense won that game. You know what? Apparently, we had to score some touchdowns at some point in time. Somebody threw that dagger. Somebody threw that crossing route across the middle of the field that he doesn't throw to. Somebody had to throw that. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. So, again, back to the original point with A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown has had enough criticism and warranted criticism. He has earned all of the strays that he's catching. However, I got enough ammunition that if I want to rip on A.J. Brown, I can do that. But I ain't got to lie. So that's the long and short of it, man. So I'm going to get up out of here, man. I'm going to land this plane. We've been rocking for about 50 minutes, man. This conversation was freaking phenomenal, man. I appreciate y'all. Do me a favor, man. Smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe to Pro Fan Talk. If you like my WNBA content, mosey on over there to my neighbor, Pro Fan Hoops, and give me a subscribe over there too, man. We doing it. We trying to get it together, man. I'm trying to keep it 100 with you. I'm trying to keep it real with you, and just be fair. And it seems like to do that, it requires more and more effort just to keep it 100 and just to be consistent and fair, because nobody else is doing that. So do me a favor. When you're looking at these articles, when you're looking at the podcasts and everything on ESPN and whatever you watching, whatever content you are taking in, just do me a favor and do your homework. It is not hard to vet information these days. Just do your homework. All right. I'm going to get up out of here, man. Go wash my hands, finish your sandwich if you eating your lunch, and then get back to work. All right. So I'm going to be up out of here, man. I appreciate y'all. I should be back tonight at 9 o'clock like normal. All right. I'm going to be out. I appreciate y'all. And as usual, go Birds.
Yeah. Yo, 2026 and the link is feeling cold. Stories of a super runner getting kinda old. Jalen under fire, say his vision's getting tight. Calling them uncoachable every single night. AJ in the tray, got me in my fields. Mr. Hollywood is the brownest on the field. Man, he ain't calling plays, I be searching for the spark. Eagles flying solo, hunting shadows in the dark. Prabo and Rossini trying to launch a master plan. Ever since the photos got you sitting with the fans. Draft day approaching, how we sitting on this perch. Gotta fill some holes, so you know he's on the search. 10 toes down with the Eagles on the scene. Watching out for Cap, cause your boy is bleeding green. Searching through the trending topics, info moving slow. Pro fan talk, always keep you in the know. Hit the bell, that's law. Break it down from the film to the box score raw. With the real ones bar. From the birds to the league, we gon' cover it all. Hit the bell, that's law. Break it down from the film to the box score raw. With the real ones bar. From the birds to the league, we gon' cover it all.